Hi, it's Janelle Evans, co-founder of Strategic Interactions, practice leader, Leadership Minds and Matters. And I wanted to share with you about how being grateful changes your brain and up-levels your life. So I made this special presentation after really discussing this in my private Facebook group. I started thinking again about gratitude with the onset of Thanksgiving coming up on November 28th. And it really prompted me to share a little bit more about, what really happens when we say we're grateful for this and grateful for that. Yes, it makes us feel good, but there's more stuff going on. And based on the research that I've done, there's actually new neural pathways getting created. So I wanted to dive into that and share with you. So gratitude is defined as the quality or feeling of being grateful or thankful. And we can feel grateful for little things to big things, right? The size or scale doesn't matter when it comes to gratitude. It's more about how it makes you feel to acknowledge things that you're grateful for in your life. And feeling good is important, but what else does it do? If we don't feel grateful for much, we're probably going to feel more stressed out, more overwhelmed, and really on the verge of burning out. So we may be so exhausted that before you know it, we get into this deep, dark hole of despair and worry. And sometimes changing our mindset about this and looking for the good things, the things that are working well in our life, can really help us not go to that place. The Washington Post recently published an article about the increase in excessive worrying. And there was a 2018 Gallup poll that they mentioned that found that 45% of Americans said that they felt worried a lot. And that's more than any year since 2006. And this affects every aspect of our life. So practicing gratitude every day can be like this perfect catalyst for changing our mindset, which will then positively impact our physiology too. And bottom line is intentionally focusing on gratitude can change our brains in ways that ignite the process of moving out of the darkness and into the light, so that our perspective, our energy, everything about us shifts to a higher frequency, a more positive place where we can thrive instead of just surviving. So practicing gratitude can reduce stress, chronic pain, anxiety, depression, insomnia, and it can strengthen your immune system, make you more resilient, improve your relationships, and increase your feelings of optimism and happiness. Now you might be thinking, well, of course it makes me feel better, Janelle, but who doesn't know that? Well, just taking your mind off your worries, right? No, it's more than that. The positive changes we experience by intentionally focusing on gratitude begins between our ears, within our brains, where some big shifts take place, and those shifts translate to changing our outlook, our productivity, and really the overall quality of our life. So exactly what kinds of shifts am I talking about? Well, studies have measured some of these shifts with functional MRIs, and that these MRIs measured brain activity when participants either felt grateful or even imagined feeling grateful. And the regions associated with gratitude are part of the neural networks that light up when we socialize and experience pleasure in our life. Like taking time every day to identify things we're grateful for, or write in a journal, or telling someone that we're grateful for them in our life. So here's how practicing gratitude impacts your brain and up-levels your life. Number one, it jumpstarts your hypothalamus. Let me say that again, the hypothalamus. That's the region directly above your brainstem. It's about the size of an almond. And researchers found that when we experience feelings of gratitude, blood flow to specific parts of the brain increases, including the hypothalamus, right? So that affects everything like hormonal balance, body temperature, metabolism, our sleep, blood pressure, and digestion, just to name a few. And knowing this makes it easy for us to understand why writing in a gratitude journal, for example, has shown to be so effective in improving many areas of our health, including better exercise habits or improved sleep or healthier weight. Number two, practicing gratitude creates those new neural pathways I mentioned. Our brains get comfortable with our everyday thinking patterns, right? We do the same things in the morning, lunch and dinner, and at night. We don't really create a lot of new ways of thinking and being. But if we don't intentionally take time to think about what we're grateful for, those old neural pathways just stay comfortably in place. So if we're not focusing on gratitude, hey, it's easier to complain, feel sorry for ourselves, adopt a victim mentality, criticize ourselves or other people, and show up as a negative personality. And all this reinforces those well-worn neural pathways in our brains. It's familiar to our brains, and therefore it kind of keeps us returning to that pleasure of what we know versus changing to new thoughts about things that we might not normally focus on, like, what am I grateful for? So you can think of this like a big pattern interrupt, right? When you start practicing gratitude. So it can change the iTunes channel, right? With thoughts of gratitude. So when we overcome these familiar paths with practicing gratitude, we create new thoughts in those new neural pathways very effectively until they become our new normal. And that makes us feel healthier and more optimistic, and we have a more balanced perspective on things. And that serves us so much better than focusing on those low energy, those negative thoughts. And focusing on what we have instead of focusing on what we don't have facilitates the release of those good hormones and neurotransmitters. So without a focus on gratitude, potentially damaging stress hormones continue to just be released. So an attitude of gratitude releases many beneficial brain chemicals, creating more calmness and inner peace. For example, Dr. Alex Korb, a neuroscientist, writer, and coach who wrote the book Upward Spiral, says, trying to think of things you're grateful for forces you to focus on the positive aspects of your life. This simple act increases the serotonin, those feel-good neurotransmitters that increases the serotonin production in the anterior cingulate cortex. Now, this is the part of the brain that has a role in cognitive functions like emotions, like empathy, impulse control, and decision making. He says that the act of seeking the things you're grateful for has as much, if not more, benefit than the item you're actually grateful for. I think that's very powerful. Practicing gratitude also increases your dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with reward, feelings, pleasure, and satisfaction. And that causes your brain to want more of that. It's like saying, do that again. It just feels so great. And then the third thing that practicing gratitude does and changes your brain is it can ease depression. There was a study at Indiana University that examined how practicing gratitude can alter brain function in depressed individuals. And the researchers there found evidence that the mental practice of gratitude may be able to change and rewire the brain. In the past decade, many studies have found that those who count their blessings tend to be happier and less depressed. So to wrap up here, there's no downside to practicing gratitude. And now that you're aware of some of these neurological benefits, just consider investing a few minutes every day to positively change your brain in ways that will up-level your life mentally, physically, and emotionally. Have a quote here from Oprah Winfrey. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never have enough. Thank you for listening. And if you want to talk to me about this topic or anything relative to leadership, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, meditation, gratitude, and all the things that I talk about in my private Facebook group, please reach out to me at JannelleEvans.com/talk. JannelleEvans.com/talk. Find a time there. We get on the phone for a few minutes and have a great conversation. Thank you.